Hi everyone. I just wanted to do this video really quick. I've been asked by quite a few people to have a look at it and see what I think. And I did have a read, and it's interesting. So here I am. This is an exhibit that's attached to a letter motion to redact, and it's a deposition transcript of Melissa Nathan. And it starts on page 3. I say it starts on page 3. So it's got all the lawyers who are present. Quinn Manuel, who represent Stephanie Jones, and we got Manat and Wilkie Parr, who represent Blake Lively. And they've also got Sloan Opera and Webber and Dern. So that's Lindsay Strasberg, who is the attorneys. She's not involved in this litigation, but she was representing Blake Lively and drafted the 17-point letters of demand, for her to return to production. So that's who that is. Then we've got obviously Friedman and a few people from his firm for the Wayfarer parties. Mitra Ahurian, and then we've got Joel Glover from Jackson Walker, who represents Jed Wallace. We've also got Jen Abel, and then a videographer and like a sort of stenographer. So out of all the Wayfarer at this deposition was Jen Abel. Everyone else didn't go. And we're going to go through all the things. So they just kind of introduce on record who's present and who they're representing, and then they do the oath, etc. So we'll just go past all that. And then Miss Shaw. Now Miss Shaw represents Maureen Shaw. She represents Stephanie Jones and Jones Works. I think I said in the last video, I think I said Blake Lively by mistake, but yeah, it's Jones Works, Stephanie Jones. Okay, so I'm going to go by question and answer, I think. Okay, so good morning. Good morning. Sound like I'm about to break into song. My name is Maureen Shaw. You heard I represent Stephanie Jones and Jones Works in these matters. Answer, yes. Question. And were you just sworn in by the court reporter? Again, do you understand that you, as you did yesterday, have a duty today to give a true and accurate testimony? Answer, I do. And you are under oath today with equal force, as though you were in a court of law? I understand. Is there any reason you can't give full and complete testimony today? None. And then we jump then, because that's obviously page 19, we jump to page 129. We're in the middle of a question that popped up on the internet in or around May of 2024 about Stephanie Jones, right? Answer. From being sent them? Yes. And no one about them? Reading all the different articles? Yes. Question. Is it your testimony that you were only aware of these websites because you were sent them or read publicly available articles about them? Yes. It is. And then, Miss Shaw. Okay, I'm going to hand you a series of documents. Melissa, before you do that, can I just go to the bathroom really quickly? Miss Shaw. Yeah, of course. We can take a 5-minute break. So then they go off the record. And she's gone for 20 minutes. So like the lawyer says, we can take a 5-minute break. The time they go off the record is 11:30, and then comes back on at 10 to 12. Okay, so Miss Shaw, Okay, so we're going to hand you a series of documents and I'm going to read them out for the record if you just keep them in front of you. Melissa, sure. Michelle, Exhibit 54 is a document entitled Holding Clients Hostage, Stephanie Jones Leaks. And the base number shows it's an exhibit from Melissa Nathan herself. Melissa, I see that. Miss Shah. Exhibit 55 is a document entitled Stephanie Jones Leaks, and that bears website domain, and then there's a website. Exhibit 55 marked for identification. Melissa, I see that. Attorney. Exhibit 56 is a document from what appears to be an X account or Twitter account under the name @LionStephJones. Exhibit 56 marked for identification. The witness, I see that. Miss Shah. Exhibit 57 is what appears to be a Facebook account with the banner Stephanie Jones Leaks. Exhibit 57 marked for identification. The witness, I see that. Miss Shah. And Exhibit 58 is a Pinterest account with the banner Stephanie Jones Leaks. Exhibit 58 marked for identification. Melissa, I see that. And then question. Okay, and you have seen each of these documents in exhibits 54 through 58 before, isn't that correct? Melissa, I've seen this one. Miss Shah, which one is that? Melissa, this is the holding clients hostage. Miss Shah, that's exhibit 54. Melissa, I've seen 54. Is 55 from 54? Miss Shah, 55 is different. It is another website, stephaniejoneslies.com. Melissa, I mean, I don't know if they're the same thing for me. I have not seen this before. Miss Shah, which exhibit is that? Melissa, 58. I have not seen 57 before. Question. Okay. Melissa, and I know that I was sent a Twitter, but I really don't know if I've seen the majority of exhibit 56 before. Question. Okay, now you had a role in the creation of the Stephanie Jones Leaks website that documented in exhibit 54, right? Friedman, objection. Melissa, no. Question. You asked Katie Case to write copy for that website, isn't that true? Melissa, that is not true. Question. And you also had a role in the creation or publication of exhibit 56, the X account, right? Melissa, no. Question. You asked Katie Case to write a copy for it, at least 5 or 6 tweets that were posted on that X account in exhibit 56, right? Friedman, objection. Melissa, no. Question. Is it your under oath testimony that you had no involvement whatsoever in any shape or form in anything having to do with the website in exhibit 54 and the X account in exhibit 56? Friedman, objection. Melissa, it is, yes. Question. And if Katie Case testified to the contrary, would she be lying? Melissa, yes. Question. Are you aware Katie Case testified that you asked her to write copy for the website in exhibit 54? Friedman, objection. Melissa, I was told that she did testify. I did not listen to her deposition. I was on a plane. Question. Who told you that? Melissa, I can't remember exactly who told me. It would have been one of my lawyers. Friedman, so no disclosing information from your lawyers. So no information from your lawyers you should be disclosing. Melissa, got you. Question. Have you since read a transcript of her testimony? Melissa, I have. Question. You have? Melissa, yes. Question. And so you have read what she testified about in this respect? Melissa, I have. Question. Okay. So you're aware that she testified that you communicated to her to write copy for the website in Exhibit 54, including specific language that Stephanie holds clients hostage, that she leaks client secrets, and that she treats her employees poorly, amongst others. Are you aware that she testified that? Friedman, objection. Melissa, I read her testimony. Question, and are you aware then that she testified that you communicated to her that she should write copy for the website in Exhibit 54, including specific language that Stephanie Jones holds clients hostage, that she leaks client secrets, and that she treats her employees poorly? Friedman. I'm aware. Friedman, objection. Melissa, I'm aware of what she testified in her deposition. Yes. Has that duplicated the page? No. Okay. So Melissa, I'm aware of what she testified in her deposition. Yes. Question, is it your under oath testimony that when she testified that you communicated to her to write copy for the website in Exhibit 54, she was giving false testimony under oath? Melissa, it is, yes. Question, okay. And is it your under oath testimony that when she testified in her deposition that you gave her specific language to write for this website, including that Stephanie Jones holds clients hostage, that she leaks client secrets, and that she treats her employees poorly, that she was giving false under oath testimony? Melissa, yes. Friedman, objection. Question, okay. Are you aware that Katie Case testified that she received a call from you in early May and communicated to her that a website that became the website in Exhibit 54 had been requested? Friedman, objection. Melissa, I'm aware that she testified that. Question, Melissa, I don't actually recall that bit, but if it's in a testimony, then yes. Question, okay, we're going to need to go on AEO. Friedman, okay. Question, have you read the entirety of Katie Case's deposition transcript? Friedman, objection. Melissa, I think so. Oh. Question, okay, redacted. Melissa, yes. Question, if Katie Case testified that you asked her to draft the tweets about Stephanie Jones that appeared in Exhibit 56, the outlying Steph Jones X account? Answer, Question, is it your under oath testimony that Katie Case was given false under oath testimony? Melissa, about me? Yes, absolutely. Question, do you have any personal knowledge about whether or not Katie Case did write the copy for the website in Exhibit 54? Melissa, now or then? Question, personal knowledge. Melissa, no, but when? Time period. Question, before. Melissa, no. Question, now? Melissa, given what she said, that she wrote it, then yes. Question. Okay, do you have any personal knowledge about whether or not Katie Case wrote 5 or 6 tweets that appeared on Exhibit 56, the X account? Melissa, no. Question. Okay, so you're saying you didn't ask her to do it, but you don't know whether or not she actually did it? Melissa, I mean, she testified that she did it, correct? Question. Yes. Melissa, so based on that and the conversations that I'm not allowed to, then yes. But before that, no, I did not. No. Question. Okay, and are you also aware that Jed Wallace had involvement in building or creating or publishing the website in Exhibit 54, right? So Joel Glover joins Brian Friedman. They both eject. Melissa, no. Question. If Katie Case testified that he did, is it your testimony that she would be given false under oath testimony? Melissa, I can only talk to myself as to what I know about my own personal test. You know, I can't speak to anyone else, but I have no knowledge of that. Question. Okay, and you just don't know one way or another if Jed Wallace had involvement in the website in Exhibit 54, and then both Friedman and Glover object. Melissa, correct, I don't know. Question. And if KTK said she spoke to him about it, you don't have any basis to deny that? Glover and Friedman both object. Melissa. If I was not on any telephone calls between those two, if it did or did not happen, I was not on them. Question. Okay. You're aware that part of what Jed Wallace does for clients is to build websites, right? Glover and Friedman object. Melissa. That is not to my knowledge. He builds websites. Question. Say it in the language that you would prefer. Friedman. Objection. Are we still going over to... Yeah, so we've jumped a page or two, actually. Partway through a question connection with building websites. Melissa. Yes. Friedman. Objection. Question. Okay. Do you have any knowledge as to who was involved in any respect in the website about Stephanie Jones in Exhibit 54? Friedman. Objection. Melissa. I do now. Question. What is that knowledge? Melissa. From Katie's testimony that she wrote it. Question. Anything else? Melissa. No, I do not build websites, so no. Question. Have you ever been involved in a matter where a website was built? Friedman. Objection. Melissa. Just now, yes, and my own. Question. What is your own? Melissa. The one that you have, the agency group. Question. Okay, and when you say just now, you mean the website that was built in connection with the Lively litigations? Melissa. Correct. Question. Okay, what about for redacted? Melissa. No, I have not built any websites. Question. I'm not asking if you built websites. Melissa. Question. I'm asking if you've been involved in a matter where a website was built. Melissa. No. Question. Including redacted? Friedman. Objection. Melissa. I have not been involved in that. Question. Are you saying that you were not involved in building the website, or are you saying that a website was not built in connection with the redacted matter? Melissa, could you rephrase the question? Question, sure. Melissa, so I know exactly what I'm answering? Question, I don't want to get caught up in the meaning of the word built, a website. So I'm trying to broaden the question in terms of your involvement in any capacity. Melissa, Question, your involvement in any capacity in a matter where a website was built. Melissa, in any matter at all? Question, yes. When I say question, I mean the lawyers. Just for clarity, it's just because it's a queue, so it's easier. Melissa, I already testified yes to that. Question, which ones? Melissa, the one in connection with the Lively. Question, Melissa, my own. Question, Melissa, and there could have been one previously for clients that back. Please show me. Maybe, but that's what I've been involved in. Question. Okay, do you know whether redacted requested that Katie Case write copy for the website in Exhibit 54? Melissa. I have never met redacted. I have never had any communication with him, so no, I don't know. Question. Apart from meeting redacted or having communication with redacted, are you aware of whether or not redacted requested this website? Melissa. No. Friedman. Objection. I think we're jumping to page 231. Friedman. Objection. Melissa. No, I was also working on 2 other matters for Brian at 9:40 a.m. that same day. Question. Was Jed involved in any of the other 2 matters you were working on for Brian at that time? Melissa. I can't recall. Question. Okay, do you believe that they were asking you for copy on another matter? Friedman. Objection. Melissa. I could have background report something. Could be. Question. Does copy typically mean background report? Melissa, yes it can. Question, really? Melissa, yes it can. Question, okay. So if Katie Case testified that this was another website that she created at your request, Melissa, Question, in conjunction with Brian Friedman and Jed Wallace, that would be false under oath testimony. Then Glover objects. Melissa, yes. Question, okay, do you know who the redacted are? Melissa, yes. Question, who are they? Melissa, they're redacted. Question, redacted, is that right? Melissa, yes. Question, were they ever your clients? Melissa, they, at the beginning of the crisis, their crisis situation, they reached out to hire us. We had one conversation with them and said okay before we knew more. And I'm not sure of the time period. When we found out, I would say a couple of days, a day, 2 days, we declined to work with them. Question. Okay, so you ultimately declined to bring them on as clients of TAG, is that right? Melissa, correct. Okay, we're still continuing. Question, okay. But notwithstanding that they were never clients of TAG, you did work with Katie Case to create a website in connection with their litigation, didn't you? Melissa, I did not. Friedman, objection. Question, and if Katie Case testified that you did, that would be false under oath testimony. Is that your testimony? Melissa, completely false. Question, okay, is Katie Case a huge liar? Melissa, apparently so, yes. Question, okay, what reason does she have to lie about you? Friedman, objection. Melissa, I don't know how she is lying about me apart from her being scared of Stephanie Jones. I don't know any other lies so far unless you tell me them. Question. Okay, how long have you known Katie Case? Melissa, roughly 9 years. I don't know, something like that. And then we jump to page 239, halfway through a question. Business while at TAG building websites with Jed Wallace and Brian Friedman. Glover and Friedman both object. Melissa, no, I don't. No, I mean, to my knowledge, I do not know. No. Question. Okay, I'm going to show you. You testified earlier that you were brought in at some point to work with Redacted and Redacted on a litigation involving Redacted, right? Melissa, yes. Question. Okay, and Jed was involved in working with them on that litigation as well, right? Friedman, objection. Melissa, I can't remember. You only reminded me from my own text messages. Question. Okay, let's mark this as, and then the stenographer says 73, so it's marked as Exhibit 73. Question. Exhibit 3. It's an article dated June 2nd, 2021, entitled Redacted Hit by $50 million Lawsuit by Former Goldman Sachs. And then that's when the deposition testimony ends. I know that final one, though, is Scooter Braun. Because, yeah, and I... because this came up, we found out about this quite a while ago, actually, when we were sort of looking into things and sleuthing. Not so much myself, but other people found that one of Scooter Braun's companies, I'm just pulling it up now, actually. Scooter. Why don't you see if I can find it? Sorry. There we go. One of Scooter Braun's companies is actually a majority shareholder in TAG. So yeah, we found that several months ago, a bunch of sleuths, and I find it difficult personally. Like a lot of people are saying, well, who's lying? What do you think, Leanne? At the end of the day, there's a couple of things. It's entirely plausible that Katie Case did do something at Melissa Nathan's request or Jed Wallace's request. It's also entirely possible that she is, whether off her own volition or, through the use of coercion, is throwing them under the bus for the purposes of this litigation by either Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, or Stephanie Jones. That is speculation, but it's a thought process I have. However, there's a few, Wayfarer are including this in as part of their sort of exhibits to argue back against this motion to compel by Jones Works, as well as the interference by Blake Lively in it, inserting herself in it. So if they thought that this was damaging, I don't think they would have included it. Because what it clearly shows is Melissa Nathan stating vehemently under oath, no, that I did not do that. I was not part of that. And this bit at the bottom then kind of bothered me a little because I can't see Melissa Nathan kind of involving herself in anything that has anything to do with Scooter Braun, given that he, is a majority shareholder in her company. Something about that does not sit right with me. But at the same time, though, if there's documents to compel, and Katie Case has actually said, yeah, okay, I don't mind producing them, effectively agreed to produce them, but, obviously Wayfarer objected. And Katie Case is sitting in the sidelines now waiting for the objection to be sort of settled. If she's got something that she's prepared to produce, then that also makes me think, is there something in this? But I don't know. And it still doesn't prove Blake Lively's case. It doesn't. And again, it proves none of Stephanie Jones's claims against either Wayfarer or Jen Abel. I still don't see the relevance of why this is on that docket, personally. Because Stephanie Jones is not suing Melissa Nathan or Jed Wallace, or even Katie Case. She is, and we have to remember as well, Wayfarer said, if I remember correctly, I'm going to go and look for this actually. There was something very specific that Wayfarer said. So sanctions. Okay, so took a little while to find and go through all the dockets, but I found it. So this is Wayfarer's opposition to Stephanie Jones's motion to compel Catherine Case for these documents. And it's this bit here that just kind of struck me. Case could not have consented, as the cover letter accompanying the subpoena threatened to name Case as a defendant in the lawsuit if she failed to cooperate and comply with the untimely subpoena. So that is when you look at the testimony, right? And the deposition testimony is like, and this goes to what Melissa Nathan said, was when she was asked, well, why would Katie Case lie? And Melissa Nathan's response was, well, probably the only thing I can think of is that she's scared of Stephanie Jones. And then, like I said, Melissa Nathan is not a party to the Jones lawsuit. Neither is Jed Wallace and neither is Katie Case. But here, in Wayfarer's opposition, they specifically point to the cover letter that accompanied Jones Works' subpoena for Katie Case, which specifically said that if she failed to cooperate and comply with the subpoena, which was untimely, then she would be named as a defendant. So she's being coerced to comply. So do I think that, and probably under that threat, she is, oh no, it weren't me. I did it because I was told to. I don't know whether that's true or not. I personally feel like, it's more likely than not Melissa Nathan had nothing to do with that website. She very strongly opposed it in her deposition, and it's going to have to be for Jones Works to prove that. Ultimately, that's, and she still hasn't at this point, even with, so-called testimony and knowledge of all of this, has not named either Melissa Nathan or Jed Wallace as defendants. So she's not bringing a case against them currently. So yeah, I'm less inclined to think that Melissa Nathan is lying here. And I really have a big problem with the fact that Jones Works are quite literally coercing Katie Case to comply with a subpoena or under the threat of being named as a defendant. So I think that may become tomorrow's hearing is going to be, I think, fireworks because of all of this. And aside from this issue, all the issues with the subpoena being untimely, discovery's now ended. The fact that there's an allegation that the cover letter that accompanied the subpoena, so this is not Wayfarer just saying it, it's on the cover letter, that Katie Case was under threat of being named as a defendant. Well, then that is not consent. So whilst Jones Works sort of said in their motion to compel, well, she's prepared to hand it to us, it's just Wayfarer objecting. No, she didn't really have a choice. And that is not consent. And with all that, and then on top of that, you've got the whole Blake Lively side of it as well, where she's waded in, has absolutely nothing to do with this case. And I've already said I think there's a problem with the subpoena even, because even though, Jones is a party, Katie Case is not, Melissa Nathan is not, but also the discovery she's looking for does not fit the claims that she has currently against Jen Abel or Wayfarer. This should be a separate thing. And then you got Blake Lively coming in, who has nothing to do with anything, quite literally, and is trying to piggyback on potential discovery of, that Stephanie Jones is seeking, which proves a smear campaign. It's just not Blake Lively's smear campaign. So this lawsuit just takes so many twists and turns. It's like a Formula One track. Okay, so yeah, but I'm going to leave that. I wanted to do this now because obviously we've got the hearing tomorrow. So, and this is all relevant. So I will do the Wayfarers exhibits for their response for their opposition to Stephanie Jones's motion for spoliation sanctions. I will do all of that tomorrow. All right. Have a good night. And yeah, I'll speak to you all tomorrow.